Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis, brought to you by Blue Chip Marketing and the Daily Blue. You know, let's get right into it that no one's talking about. Like it happened maybe almost less than a week ago, and no one's talking about it anymore. The Syracuse Orange Men. I mean, is this a joke? Jim Boeheim, is this a joke? I mean, are you kidding? Like, you're nowhere to be found. You reminded me of Roger Goodell, the NFL. We'll get to that in a little while. But where are you, Jim? You're not defending yourself because we know you did it. About a month ago, your school comes out and says, you know, there's going to be some violations coming, so we're taking us out of any postseason, tournament, March Madness opportunity to be in. You weren't getting in anyhow. So who are you guys kidding that that's one thing? And now they come down on you guys. So the great Jim Boeheim, who everybody thought was the greatest, the nicest, 900 wins, is another farce. Another one who goes down with some other collegiate coaches who just were doing stuff that's not right and got all those victories and all that money and all those accolades. So let's go over some of the things the NCAA found. And I know that you in the university, well, I take that back, Jim, not you, because you haven't said anything. You're doing your best Roger Goodell. So go back to the university, coming out and go, for 10 years, they're looking at us. Why did it take so long? Why? Because it seems like every year they probably looking at you did something the next year because you didn't know anyone was watching you. Let's go over some of the things that you are in trouble for. You got suspended as the head basketball coach for the first 9 ACC, which is your conference games, next year. I don't understand why you're not suspended the whole year. But hey, 9 games. That's pretty much a lot of games. Okay? You vacated victories in which ineligible men's basketball students played in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. Oh, you took a couple years off, I see. Oh, that was nice of you guys to do it legit. And 2010, 11, and 12. And they also did some stuff to the football team. But we're talking about Jim Boeheim right now. Okay, the great Jim Boeheim. He's probably the highest paid person in the state, in Syracuse. Okay, because that's what happens with these basketball players in these universities. And they deserve it. If you're legit. 5 years of probation from March 6th, 2015 to 2020. Fine of $500 per contest played by ineligible students. Well, if you got all these years, and what the heck is $500 anyway? To me, that's a joke. What kind of fine is that? These teams are making tens of millions of dollars. That's a joke. That's a slap on the wrist. But what does Boeheim care? It doesn't come out of his pocket. The school must return all the NCAA funds. Okay, now they're going to lose all that. That is received for the appearance in the 2011, 12, and 13 NCAA men's basketball tournaments. That's a chunk of change, but again, they make tons. They lose some scholarships. Okay, whatever. I don't think that's such a big deal. Reduction in the main permissible campus recruiters. Okay, those things don't really matter. Sorry. Okay? Jim Boeheim. When are you going to talk, Jim? I think like a month or two ago they had a press conference with you and someone asked you some question and basically your answer was, I don't really give a what anyone thinks of me. I would say that too, knowing all this is coming out. It's a joke. This is what goes on in collegiate sports. Not all the time. Most of the people are good. But usually what happens now is a guy like Jim Boeheim jumps, quits, resigns, and goes to another team. Leaves the last team with all these problems, and they go and they're allowed to do whatever they want. That, to me, has got to stop. NCAA's got to get on these coaches. You're not allowed to get a new job. You got to deal with this suspensions that you created. So if this team is suspended, he's suspended, say, 9 games next year, and they're ineligible or on probation for a certain amount of time. Wherever you go, if they want to hire you, that comes with you too. Is that school's problem? Absolutely. The new school's problem? Absolutely not. Then don't hire him. That's all. Don't hire the coach. Because this is not right. So now here we are, Jim, you're sitting there preaching to all these kids what's the right thing to do. Okay? and you're 70 years old. So you've been preaching right thing to do all this time, and look at all the things that you did going on your watch. And you could see it here like I'm sure you're going to say, and you might have said it already. I didn't know. You didn't know. Listen, you get credit for all the great stuff there under your watch, but all the bad stuff you don't want to take credit for, or maybe credit, of course, credit's the wrong word. No, this is all you, okay? You can tell me anything you want. You didn't know this, you didn't know what. There's too much here that you didn't know to say you didn't know. Okay, and there was some drug stuff too. I don't see it in my notes, but I thought there was some drug stuff going on there too. Surprisingly, the year with Carmelo that you won the one championship, they didn't touch. Wow, maybe they were just being nice to you. 1 year you win the championship, nothing happened that year. Every other year around it, something happened. That's interesting. I wonder how that happened. But gee, bam, this is not a witch hunt. You did it. Instead of getting up to the plate after the sanctions came down, I haven't heard from him. No one's heard from you. And then, before I get back to Jim, what about the AD, Darryl Gross? Where were you, Darryl? Shouldn't Darryl be in trouble? It's under your watch, too. I don't care if you didn't. You're supposed to know. There's so many layers underneath you. Well, you got management in place underneath. You got to know. And all these infractions, all these years later, nobody knows. Nobody knows. And the Chancellor and President, Ken, I think I'm saying it right, Syverud. What about you? Why are these things not going? The president sits there, oh, we're champions. Oh, we got the greatest team. The AD, Darryl Gross, oh, we got the greatest team. We got Jim Boeheim. But now everything's going down. Everyone's like, well, I didn't know anything about it. So who knew? All under you three guys watching, especially Jimmy Boeheim. The great Jim Boeheim. He's the greatest. Everyone loves him. It's a joke, okay? It's a joke. And the coach doesn't get fined himself. So now think about that also. Look how much money Jim Boeheim has made by being this great coach, by doing all these illegal things to win basketball games. He got paid a lot of money for it. Now listen, let's not say that he's not a great coach. Probably he's a great coach. I'm not going to take that away from you. But there's a certain way you got to do it. If you want to be a great coach and not have to deal with all of this stuff that you maneuvered on, go to the NBA. You get a job in the NBA. I love a lot of these head coaches like, I don't want to deal with the NBA. I like the college campus. I like the way we do things. That's great. And you have guys who have gone to the NBA and gone back. Calipari, Rick Pitino, a couple of guys. Larry Brown. Okay, you guys pick and choose which rules you want to be governed by. But if you pick that, that's the rules you got to be governed by. Can't look away. And again, I'm not going to say that all the coaches are bad. We're not saying that. But Jimmy Boeheim, one of the premier coaches in college basketball, one of the premier places, Syracuse University. People love that place. The Carrier Dome, Syracuse. It's a level right here. Good for them. You see their advertising at Yankee Stadium. We're New York's team. Well, you're New York's embarrassment right now. Even though, Jim, you must have a lot of friends in the media because, like I said, this happened last Saturday or Sunday. Today's Friday. A whole week's gone by. There's not much going on. It's like on the wayside. No one's talking about it. No other writers are really getting even more under the hood yet. Maybe it'll be this weekend. But right now, I haven't seen much more from the original articles that happened last Saturday, Sunday, maybe Monday, and that's it. I haven't seen anything else. So maybe you got a great PR department. But you're 70 years old, Jim. You're going to deal with this? You're going to have to answer the questions. You're going to go to these press conferences, whether you talk again this year, which I'm sure you won't, a la Roger Goodell in the NFL. I haven't always heard from him either again. Here we go. Super Bowl's over. I haven't heard from Roger. Roger the Dodger. That's a good name. I don't think I've used that one yet. Roger the Dodger. That's the new one for him. Okay? I think I see Mike on the other side of the glass laughing at that one. He likes that. Roger the Dodger, because that's what he's doing. He's dodging. Okay? And that's what Jim's doing. So, Jim, when you finally get up to the microphone, we're killing A-Rod. He lied. Hopefully you'll learn from him and just say, yeah, you know something? I knew some stuff was going on. And look what happened with Penn State. All of a sudden, Penn State, years later, the statue's coming back. They're getting the victories back. Like it never happened. Again, I have to agree with all this. And that's the beauty of life. We don't have to agree. I don't agree. If that's what the thing is, statue's gone at Penn State, you lose the victories. You lost them. You don't give them back. I don't get it. Either it is or it isn't. You did all that time. You made your decision. That's your decision. You don't change it, especially this early. But hey, that's another story. So we'll go back to the Syracuse thing. We're going to move on. But that was just bothering me all week. And we sit here and put them on a pedestal and put Jim Boeheim on a pedestal. And boy, well, you knocked off that pedestal, man. Very disappointed in Jimmy Boeheim because I was one of those. Big fan of the guy. But showed what he was all about. Not doing it the right way. Not showing these college kids the right way to do things in life. He showed them there were the ways to cut corners. Unacceptable. Okay? It is all about the money. Okay? He wants the wins. The wins get him the money. Wins get him the notoriety. The wins get him on TV. The wins get him to write a book. And all the good fortunes that come with it. You know, let's jump to Queens. Went to the Syracuse Orange Men. Now I'll go to St. John's Red Men. Like I've said before on the show, there'll always be the Red Men, even though they felt they got to change it to the Red Storm. Coach Lavin, Steve Lavin, friend of the show. I like Steve a lot. 21-11. They're on the bubble to get in the tournament. Of course, they believe they should be in. You know, hopefully the committee isn't going to look at the last two games. The last two games were so bad. Giving up 100 points and losing by 20 points to Duke. Okay, Duke's great, but you give up 100 points, coach. 100 in college. 100 points, man. And then you lose just the other day to Providence in the Big East tournament, your first game in the tournament this year, and lose by almost 20 points. You lose by 17 points. You guys were never in the game. Now, it's great that after the game, Coach Lavin goes, it's on me. Every loss is on you, Coach. We know that. I mean, you think you're taking the pressure off the kids? The kids played like crap. So you know something? What are we doing taking the pressure off the kids? You can go in that locker room and say, yeah, the players didn't play well today. Why can't you say that? You take it on yourself? 100%, it's plenty on you. Not getting these kids ready to play in the Big East tournament. But also, how about them looking in the mirror? How can they not be ready to play? Or is Providence that much better than them? They didn't play Villanova. They played Providence. I don't know. You know, does the Red Storm, the Red Men, St. John's University belong in the tournament? I'm a St. John's fan, so I'll say yes. But I don't really know. I'm not into the whole college basketball, so if I got to pick and choose, I got to figure out how bad those losses are. So they're a bubble team now with those two terrible losses. You don't lose that bad, that's one thing. It was terrible. Terrible. And then the next thing is if they don't make the tournament, there are a lot of rumors out there saying, does Coach Lavin get fired? I don't really see that. I think Coach Lavin's a great name. He's a great face. I was going to say for the organization, for the university. I mean, I like the man a lot. He's teaching, he's helping, and again, if St. John's gets rid of him, then are they just saying it's all about winning? They still won 21 games this year. He's building a program. Continuity is great. You know, go back to Boeheim. At least he's been there 30 years or 40 years. I mean, doing the wrong thing, but I happen to like that kind of stuff. So I hope they keep Coach Lavin, and I hope they get in the tournament. And hey, maybe these two losses are so bad, but it ends up they make a run in the tournament. Wouldn't that be great? All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little Knicks basketball, okay? I know, what are we talking Knicks basketball for? You know, and it's so easy to get on the Knicks. But for some reason, like all Knicks fans, even though I know they stink and I know they're going to lose, when they're on, I put them on and watch a little bit. You know, and let's talk about Derek Fisher. You know, you want to give him a pass this year because all the players aren't here. I'm not giving him a pass. He's done a horrendous job. He's done a terrible job. He has shown that he was not ready to be a head coach. Or the argument would be, listen, if he had a great team like a Steve Kerr, I mean, I'm not saying he would do as well as Golden State's doing, but he'd still win 40, 45, maybe 50 games when Steve Kerr could end up, because it seems like just a better coach, could be wrong on that, will maybe 55, 60. But it is all about the plays. But he opened the season with Stoudemire, with Carmelo, with J.R. Smith, you know, a team that I think the Knicks won like 35, 37 games. So if the Knicks won 30, 35, 40, okay, I wouldn't be counting. The worst team in the league. And you know, one thing I don't get from Derek Fisher, because he played defense. The Knicks don't play D. I mean, that's the thing that every player can do. You don't have to be as talented as a player to score as you are to play D. To pull up the shorts, get low, and play D. And box out. And they don't. They don't do any of that. That's what I'm down on Derek Fisher. Okay? Derek, that day you don't even get. Forget about the offense. We know you can't score. But you can't keep a team from scoring on you and getting back on D and hustling. That's all you. But these players aren't doing anything. Okay? And that these players on the Knicks team are playing for their basketball careers. That's the level they're at. There's no guaranteed contract with these guys. No one on that team that's guaranteed a contract. If it is, not a lot of money, and doesn't seem like any other team wants them. So these guys should be the hungriest players out there. Not a guy sitting on the bench, 2, 3, 4, 5-year deal. Okay, I don't want to play this year. They just do that. No, Derek. So you're getting nothing out of him. You are not a good coach. Sorry. We've proven that this year. Could you get better? You can only get better. And then look at Tim Hardaway Jr., number 1 pick last year. Now, you didn't pick him, Derek. I got it. But he's regressing. So, Derek, the prized player, the prized draft pick from last year, who's got the pedigree. His father, Tim Hardaway, was was a great player in his run. Greatest players in the NBA? No, but was a very good player during his time playing in the NBA with the Heat and the Golden State. So he's got the blood. He's got the pedigree. He's doing worse. All his stats are down. And his shooting is down, almost 10%. Shooting percentage. All his numbers are down. He don't play defense. He's not into it. You've taken no one under your wing, Derek. I'm sorry. You get an F, and that's not even worth it, because you don't give anything less than an F. If there was, you get less than that. You get less than that. And then Phil Jackson the other day when he's in L.A. the other day, and they ask him, why did you take the job? I go, well, again, saying the same thing he did. My girlfriend, my fiance, Jeannie Buss, whose father was Dr. Jerry Buss, who owned the Lakers, talked him into doing it. So you're basically saying that's your excuse, that you really didn't want to do it, but you did it, and it wasn't about, please, like all the players, you can't say it's about the money. What are you getting, $12 million per year, 5 years? 60 million? Isn't that 60 million reasons? And Phil, I love Phil. And Phil gets to buy because he's so great. But next year's the year. And I think if Phil continues to get embarrassed, he'll just quit. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter to him. He'll just move on. He'll be hurt that he couldn't resurrect the Knicks, who he loves, but it doesn't really matter. Keeping it in the same building, Madison Square Garden, let's move to the New York Rangers. The talk when Henrik Lundqvist went down 3 weeks ago, I'd say it's about 3 weeks, was, can Cam Talbot step up? Can the backup goalie step up and do what they're supposed to do? And Cam Talbot has more than done his job. In fact, and I know people, this is great. If this was talk radio, it would be even better. Talk radio is what this would be all about. What I'm going to say is when Henrik Lundqvist comes back, and not saying he doesn't deserve it, does you just give him his job back and put Cam back on the bench? Cam Talbot, in the 17 games that the King has not been in nets, is 12-2-3. 12 wins, 2 losses, 3 ties, with around a 2 goals against average. And I'm not dissing the King, but the King can do this. But probably he wouldn't have. Maybe they would have been 10-4, which is still good. I'm not dissing it. But hockey is all about hot goaltending, especially going into the playoffs. Now, if he's on this hot streak, Alain Vigneault is going to have a tough decision, because to not play the King, who's led them to the Stanley Cup Finals and won a gold medal with Sweden, it's a tough call. But Cam Talbot's the kind of goaltending. What he's doing is how these other teams have gone to the finals, probably usually lost, but hot goaltending is what hockey is all about. And Cam Talbot is it. Let's move on, please. Let's get to the NFL. You traded Jimmy Graham. Are you kidding me? I mean, as soon as I said it, I go, what? How do you trade Jimmy Graham, 26-year-old, one of the premier tight ends like the Gronk over in New England, the best tight end in football? I can't believe it. I don't know what they were thinking, the Saints. And Drew Brees was on going. He didn't even know they were doing it. I don't know about that. That to me was the biggest surprise. I don't even know what to say. And we get to the Jets. Listen, the Jets have done a great job. You got to love what the Jets did. Darrelle Revis back with the Jets. Cromartie back with the Jets. And the trade for Brandon Marshall. I mean, Brandon Marshall, 5-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro in 2012. It was only a couple of years ago. Forget that he was a Pro Bowl MVP. That doesn't mean anything. Most receptions in a game. You know, people haven't been talking this. Most receptions in a game in NFL history at 21. This guy's a baller. For a 5th-round pick, I love it. I got to tell you, man, the Jets have done a great job. The problem for the Jets, as we all know, is who's going to get these playmakers the job. The defense will be strong. They brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick. They will be a quarterback competition. I can't see them starting Geno. The fan base will go crazy. Ryan Fitzpatrick can win some games. Of course, the Jets will be better than they were last year. But, again, this is not a Super Bowl team until they get a quarterback. Looks like we ran out of time. Got to tell you, there's so much more on my cards to talk about, but we can't get to it. I appreciate everybody watching. Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis.